In the serene town of Aokigahara, Japan, nestled at the edge of the ominous Aokigahara forest, stood an old, prestigious school known as Seishin Academy. The academy, with its imposing wooden architecture, had been standing for over a century, and its students were known for their academic excellence and discipline. However, beneath its polished exterior lay a dark, haunting history that the townspeople seldom spoke of. It all began in the early 1900s, when Seishin Academy was newly established. The school was built on the site of an ancient Shinto shrine, where it was believed that the spirits of those who had taken their lives in the Aokigahara forest roamed freely. Despite the ominous location, the academy flourished, becoming a beacon of education and success. But strange occurrences started to plague the school. Students and teachers reported hearing whispers in empty corridors, footsteps echoing in deserted classrooms, and inexplicable cold drafts. These incidents were often dismissed as figments of imagination or pranks, but as time passed they grew more frequent and more sinister. One of the most chilling tales from Seishin Academy was that of a student named Akiko. Akiko was a bright and diligent girl, known for her quiet demeanor and studious nature. One evening, she stayed late in the school library to finish a project. As she was engrossed in her work, she heard a soft humming coming from the hallway. Thinking it was a teacher or another student, she paid it no mind. But the humming grew louder and closer until it was right outside the library door. Curious and slightly unnerved, Akiko got up to investigate. She opened the door and peered into the dimly lit hallway, but there was no one there. The humming stopped abruptly, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Shaking off her unease, Akiko returned to her seat, but as she did, she noticed something strange. The books on the shelves seemed to be rearranged, and her belongings were scattered on the floor. She felt a chill run down her spine, but dismissed it as her mind playing tricks on her. Days turned into weeks, and Akiko couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She began to see shadows moving in the corner of her eye, and at night she was plagued by nightmares of ghostly figures and blood-curdling screams. Her friends noticed her growing paranoia and tried to comfort her, but nothing seemed to help. One night, Akiko decided to confront her fears. She stayed late in the library again, determined to find out what was haunting her. As the clock struck midnight, the air grew cold, and a thick fog enveloped the room. Akiko's heart pounded in her chest as she heard the familiar humming, now louder and more menacing. She stood up and faced the door, determined to face whatever was tormenting her. Suddenly, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang, and the lights flickered and went out. Akiko was plunged into darkness, her only source of light being the faint glow from the moon outside the window. She felt a presence behind her and turned around slowly, her breath catching in her throat. Standing before her was a figure, shrouded in darkness, with glowing red eyes and a sinister grin. The figure reached out to her, and Akiko let out a blood-curdling scream. The next morning, the school was abuzz with the news of Akiko's disappearance. Her belongings were found scattered in the library, but there was no sign of her. The only clue was a chilling message scrawled on the blackboard. "She is with us now." Over the years, more students and teachers vanished under mysterious circumstances, and the legend of Seishin Academy's haunted library grew. The school tried to cover up the incidents, but the whispers of the past could not be silenced. The spirits of those who had perished in the Aokigahara forest had claimed the academy as their own, and their restless souls continued to haunt its halls. To this day, Seishin Academy stands as a testament to the horrors that lie beneath its surface. The students who walk its halls speak in hushed tones of the library's curse, and those who dare to stay late at night often find themselves face to face with the ghosts of the past. The academy remains a place of learning, but also a place of fear, where the line between the living and the dead is blurred, and the echoes of the past refuse to be forgotten. Over time, Seishin Academy's reputation became dual-faceted. On one hand, it was lauded for its academic rigor and the success of its students. On the other, it was whispered about in hushed tones for its dark, haunted history. Every year, new students would arrive, eager to excel, but with the trepidation of the unknown lurking in their minds. One such student was Haruto, a transfer student from Tokyo. Haruto was determined to make his mark at Seishin Academy. He had heard the stories but dismissed them as mere superstitions, the kind that always surround old institutions. Yet his first encounter with the school left him with an uneasy feeling. It was his first week when he decided to explore the library. Unlike the bustling atmosphere of the classrooms, the library was eerily quiet. Rows upon rows of ancient books lined the walls, and the faint smell of old paper filled the air. Haruto found a secluded corner and started studying, losing track of time. As dusk settled outside, Haruto heard a faint rustling sound. He looked up, but the library was empty. He shrugged it off, thinking it was the wind or an animal. However, the rustling grew louder and more distinct, sounding almost like whispering. He strained to hear, but the words were indiscernible, a jumble of sounds that sent chills down his spine. Determined to focus, Haruto tried to ignore it. But then, he saw something out of the corner of his eye, a shadow moving swiftly between the bookshelves. His heart raced as he stood up, trying to convince himself it was just his imagination. Gathering his courage, he walked towards the source of the movement, his footsteps echoing in the silence. As he turned a corner, he saw a book lying open on the floor. He picked it up and glanced at the page, his eyes widening in shock. The book was filled with names, dates, and chilling descriptions of deaths and disappearances, all connected to Seishin Academy. Haruto's hands trembled as he read about Akiko and others who had vanished without a trace. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and he felt a cold breath on the back of his neck. Haruto spun around, but there was no one there. Panic set in as the whispers grew louder, enveloping him in a cacophony of voices. He dropped the book and ran, his mind reeling with fear. He didn't stop until he was out of the library, panting and drenched in sweat. Haruto decided to dig deeper into the school's history. He approached one of the older teachers, Mrs. Takahashi, who had been at Seishin Academy for decades. She was known for her stern demeanor, but Haruto sensed she knew more than she let on. "Mrs. Takahashi, do you know anything about the strange occurrences in the library?" he asked one afternoon after class. Mrs. Takahashi's eyes narrowed, and she looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Haruto, there are things at this school that are best left undisturbed. Curiosity can be dangerous." "But I need to know," Haruto insisted. "I found a book with names of students who disappeared. What happened to them?" Mrs. Takahashi sighed, her stern facade cracking slightly. "Very well, but you must promise me you'll be careful. The school was built on land that holds dark memories. The Aokigahara forest is a place where many souls have lost their way, and it's believed their spirits still linger, searching for peace. When the academy was established, it disturbed those spirits, and they've been restless ever since." She continued, "There was a shrine here, long before the school, dedicated to calming those spirits. But when the shrine was demolished, it angered them. The disappearances, the whispers, the shadows, they are the spirits trying to communicate, to seek vengeance or closure. Akiko was one of many who got too close to the truth." Haruto listened, his fear mingling with fascination. "Is there a way to stop it? To help these spirits?" Mrs. Takahashi shook her head. "Many have tried, but the spirits' anger is deep. The best we can do is respect their presence and avoid provoking them." Despite the warnings, Haruto's curiosity was insatiable. He couldn't shake off the feeling that the spirits were trying to tell him something important. He decided to gather a group of friends who were also intrigued by the school's dark history. Together, they formed a plan to uncover the truth and perhaps find a way to bring peace to the restless spirits. The group consisted of Haruto, Yuki, a tech-savvy girl with a penchant for research, Kenji, an athletic boy known for his bravery, and Mei, a quiet but observant girl who had a knack for sensing the supernatural. They met in secret, away from prying eyes, and devised a strategy to investigate the library and other areas of the school rumored to be haunted. One night, armed with flashlights, cameras, and a Ouija board, they sneaked into the library. The air was thick with anticipation and fear. Haruto led the group to the spot where he had found the mysterious book. To their surprise, the book was gone, but they found other strange markings on the shelves and floor, symbols they couldn't decipher. Yuki set up her camera to record any paranormal activity, while Kenji and Mei prepared the Ouija board. They sat in a circle, their hands lightly touching the planchette. Haruto took a deep breath and asked, "Is there anyone here who wishes to communicate with us?" For a few moments nothing happened. Then the planchette moved slowly, spelling out Y-E-S. The group exchanged nervous glances. Haruto continued, "Who are you? What do you want?" The planchette moved again, faster this time. A-K-I-K-O. Haruto's heart skipped a beat. "Akiko, how can we help you?" The air grew colder, and a shadowy figure appeared at the edge of the room. It was a girl, her face pale and eyes hollow. She pointed towards the far corner of the library. The group, terrified but determined, followed the apparition's gesture and found a hidden door. Behind the door was a narrow staircase leading down to a secret basement. The basement was filled with old relics from the demolished shrine, as well as personal belongings of the students who had disappeared. It was clear this place was a nexus of the spirit's unrest. As they explored the basement, Mei found a dusty old journal belonging to the shrine's last priest. The journal detailed rituals to appease the spirits and restore peace. The group realized that to end the haunting, they needed to perform the rituals described in the journal. With Mrs. Takahashi's reluctant help, they gathered the necessary items and prepared for the ritual. The final step required them to go to the heart of the Aokigahara forest, to the site of the original shrine. It was a daunting task, but they were resolute. On the night of the ritual, the group ventured into the forest, guided by the journal and the spirits themselves. The forest was silent, save for the rustling of leaves and the distant cries of nocturnal animals. They reached the site and began the ritual, chanting the ancient incantations and offering the required sacrifices. As they completed the ritual, the air grew still, and a sense of calmness descended upon the forest. The shadows receded, and the whispers faded away. The spirits, including Akiko, appeared before them, their expressions serene and grateful. One by one, they vanished into the night, finally at peace. The group returned to Seishin Academy, exhausted but triumphant. The haunting ceased, and the school slowly regained a sense of normalcy. Haruto and his friends were hailed as heroes, though they remained humble, knowing the true credit belonged to the spirits who had guided them. Seishin Academy continued to thrive, but the memory of the haunting lingered. The students and faculty maintained a newfound respect for the spirits of the Aokigahara forest, ensuring they would never be forgotten or disturbed again. The academy, once a place of fear, became a place of reverence, a reminder of the delicate balance between the living and the dead. And so, the legend of Seishin Academy lived on, not as a tale of horror, but as a story of redemption, respect, and the enduring power of peace. Life at Seishin Academy settled into a new rhythm after the spirits were appeased. Students felt a renewed sense of safety, but the experience left a profound impact on Haruto and his friends. They had formed an unbreakable bond through their ordeal, and their lives took on a deeper meaning as they continued their studies and personal journeys. Haruto, in particular, became fascinated by the spiritual world. He decided to pursue a career in anthropology and archaeology, driven by a desire to uncover and preserve the histories and traditions that connected people to their pasts. His brush with the supernatural had instilled in him a sense of responsibility to protect sacred sites and ensure that such disturbances would never happen again. Yuki, who had always been intrigued by technology and mysteries, went on to study computer science and digital forensics. She aimed to develop tools and techniques to document and investigate paranormal phenomena scientifically, hoping to bridge the gap between technology and the unseen world. Kenji, whose bravery had been instrumental during their adventure, chose a path in emergency services. He became a firefighter and paramedic, dedicating his life to helping others and facing danger head-on. His experiences at Seishin Academy had taught him the value of courage and selflessness. May, the quiet and observant member of the group, found her calling in psychology. She specialized in trauma counseling, using her insights into the human mind and her sensitivity to the supernatural to help those who had experienced unexplainable events. Her empathy and understanding made her a beacon of hope for many who struggled with their own ghostly encounters. Years passed, and the group stayed in touch, their bond remaining strong despite their different paths. They often reminisced about their time at Seishin Academy, the friends they made, and the spirits they helped. Their story became a part of the Academy's lore, inspiring future generations to respect the past and tread carefully in places with a history of pain and loss. One particularly hot summer, Haruto returned to Aokigahara for an archaeological dig near the old shrine site. The forest, while still eerie, now felt more welcoming, as if the spirits were watching over him. As he carefully unearthed artifacts, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being guided by unseen hands. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees, Haruto discovered a hidden chamber beneath the forest floor. Inside, he found relics of the old shrine, including a series of ancient scrolls. These scrolls detailed more rituals and stories about the spirits who had once haunted Seishin Academy. Haruto carefully packed them away, eager to study them and uncover more about the history of the area. Meanwhile, Yuki was working on a groundbreaking project. She had developed a software that could analyze audio and visual data for signs of paranormal activity. Using her expertise, she planned to document and validate ghost sightings and other supernatural occurrences scientifically. Her software had already gained attention from researchers and paranormal investigators worldwide. One night, while testing her software in her lab, Yuki received an email from Haruto. He shared his findings from Aokigahara and sent her scans of the ancient scrolls. Yuki was thrilled and immediately began analyzing the data. The scrolls contained detailed accounts of rituals, but also mentioned a powerful artifact that had been lost for centuries. A talisman said to have the power to bind spirits and protect the living. Yuki and Haruto realized that this talisman could be the key to understanding and controlling supernatural forces. They decided to embark on a new journey to find the talisman, hoping it would provide insights and possibly prevent future hauntings. Kenji and Mei eagerly joined them. Kenji's physical prowess and knowledge of survival tactics would be invaluable, and Mei's psychological expertise would help them understand the motivations of the spirits they might encounter. Together, they formed a formidable team, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their journey took them deep into the heart of Japan, visiting ancient temples, forgotten ruins, and secluded villages. Along the way, they encountered various supernatural phenomena, from restless spirits to protective guardians. Each experience added to their understanding of the spiritual world and brought them closer to finding the talisman. One evening, while resting in a small mountain village, they met an elderly monk named Satoshi. Satoshi had dedicated his life to studying the spiritual and supernatural, and he recognized the significance of their quest. He invited them to stay at his temple and shared his extensive knowledge of ancient rituals and artifacts. Satoshi revealed that the talisman they sought had been created by a powerful priestess centuries ago. The priestess had used it to seal away malevolent spirits and protect her village from harm. However, after her death, the talisman was lost, and its location remained a mystery. Satoshi believed that the talisman was hidden in a sacred cave deep within the mountains, a place where few dared to venture. The group, undeterred by the dangers, set out with Satoshi as their guide. The journey to the sacred cave was arduous, with steep climbs, treacherous paths, and the ever-present feeling of being watched. The deeper they went, the more intense the supernatural activity became. They heard whispers in the wind, saw shadows moving among the trees, and felt sudden drops in temperature. Despite the challenges, they pressed on, driven by their determination to find the talisman and uncover its secrets. After several days of travel, they finally reached the cave. Its entrance was hidden behind a waterfall, and the air was thick with an ancient, powerful energy. Inside the cave, they found intricate carvings on the walls, depicting the priestess and her rituals. At the heart of the cave, on a stone pedestal, lay the talisman. It was a beautiful artifact, intricately designed with symbols of protection and power. As Haruto reached out to take it, the cave trembled, and a voice echoed through the chamber. "You who seek the talisman, do you come with pure intentions?" the voice asked. Haruto, Yuki, Kenji, and Mei stood together, their hearts pounding. Haruto stepped forward and spoke with conviction. "We seek the talisman to understand and protect. We wish to honor the spirits and ensure that their rest is undisturbed. Our intentions are pure." The cave grew silent and the tremors ceased. A gentle light enveloped the talisman, and the voice spoke again. "Your intentions are noble. Take the talisman and use it wisely. Remember, the power it holds is not just to bind spirits, but to understand and honor them." Haruto carefully took the talisman, feeling its weight and energy. The group left the cave, their mission successful. They returned to Satoshi's temple, where they studied the talisman's powers and learned how to use it responsibly. The talisman became a tool for balance, a way to connect the living and the spiritual world with respect and harmony. Their journey didn't end with the talisman. Armed with it and newfound knowledge, they continued exploring and aiding those affected by the supernatural. They became renowned as guardians of the spiritual realm, bridging the gap between the seen and unseen. Seishin Academy prospered, inspired by Haruto and friends. Their tale and the talisman symbolized courage, respect, and understanding the past. Once haunted halls now echoed peace and reverence. Haruto, Yuki, Kenji, and Mei stayed lifelong friends, dedicating lives to their fields, guided by Seishin Academy and the spiritual world. Their bond testified friendship, courage, and human spirit. The legend of Seishin Academy persisted, a tale of hope, respect, and understanding. Aokigahara Forest's spirits rested, their memories cherished as the world learned from the past. Years passed. Haruto, Yuki, Kenji, and Mei became legends, exploring the spiritual realm and aiding others. They reunited at Seishin Academy, invited to discuss respecting the spiritual world. Nostalgia filled them. Before their talk, in the library, now peaceful, they shared laughter, stories. But talk shifted to the talisman and spirits. "Is there more to the talisman?" Yuki pondered by candlelight. Haruto agreed. "It hides secrets, yet brings peace and insight." A chill interrupted. Shadows flickered, candles dimmed. Mei sensed it. "Do you feel that?" Silent, tense, they felt the room cool, darken. Sinister humming grew. Kenji readied a flashlight. Haruto gripped the talisman, cool yet pulsing. "We find its source." They crept, the library eerie. Humming grew menacing. A door creaked open, the basement stairs revealed. Descending, the air chilled. The chamber relics and an oppressive aura awaited. A figure appeared, Akiko's haunting entity. "Why return?" it hissed, eyes red, grin sinister. Haruto raised the talisman. "To honor spirits and ensure peace." It scoffed. "Some are not appeased. The talisman wields power and curse." Dread gripped them. "The priestess's curse binds. Her torment lives on." The figure morphed, a priestess in anguish. "The curse follows, haunts. You can't escape." Chamber walls oozed darkness. Shadows clawed, whispered, "Join us." Desperate, Haruto chanted. Light briefly banished shadows, but they surged, relentless. Priestess approached. "Bound to talisman, now so are you." Defiant, Haruto shattered the talisman. Energy surged, shadows screamed. Chamber collapsed. Silence engulfed Seishin Academy. They vanished, a mystery. Years later, whispers, shadows, chill. A reminder. Spirits returned, unrested. Seishin Academy, darkened by history, blurred life and death. The legend persisted. Spirits unappeased, curses unbroken.